Friends, there's a lot of bad news and out there, and it's important to take seriously what health professionals are telling us to do. But it's also important right now to take seriously having good self-care. But how do we have good self-care in a time of bad news? A few moments ago, Katie was crying like she does. And oftentimes, when she cries, what Megan and I like to do is we take her outside, and she almost immediately calms down whenever we get her out here. And whatever it was that she was upset about just kind of seems to have vanished. It doesn't seem to bother her anymore. Because outside is kind of her happy place. She really enjoys being out here. And I wonder, what are some ways for you to get outside? And I don't just mean like actually getting outside, although that's important for us. But I mean, like, what are some ways or things you can do to get outside of yourself? Um, One good way, for us to get outside of ourselves is to think of somebody other than ourselves. Maybe someone to check in on or someone that's close to us. And hold that person in our minds. Or maybe we can think of ways to help someone in need. Those are good ways of getting outside of ourselves. And I think, when we're spending so much of our time inside, it can be easy to get wrapped up in ourselves, to get wrapped up in our minds, in our anxieties. And that's normal. Because as human beings, we were not created to be in isolation from one another. We were created for community. Um, and so, because of that, it may take a little extra effort to find ways to get outside of ourselves. Um, but I think, kind of like Katie here, if we can find a way to get outside of ourselves, we might also find that whatever it is we were worried about seems to go away or gets put on the shelf. Um, and I will confess to you that I am not somebody who claims to have all of the answers. Sometimes I wish I did, but I think it's okay to not have all the answers. And the psalm that I want us to look at today, Psalm 30, David or the psalmist doesn't claim to have all the answers. He writes about a time when his mourning or his lament was turned into dancing. And so I want to read a few verses from that now, and I have it open on my computer. Um, when I was comfortable, I said, I will never stumble, because it pleased you, Lord. You made me a strong mountain, but then you hid your presence. I was terrified. I cried out to you, Lord. I begged the Lord for mercy. What is to be gained by spilled blood, by my going down to the pit? Does the dust thank you? Does it proclaim your faithfulness? Lord, listen and have mercy on me. Lord, be my helper. You changed my mourning into dancing. You took off my funeral clothes and dressed me up in joy, so that my whole being might sing praises to you and never stop. Lord my God, I will give thanks to you forever. So I just wanted to read those few verses with you from Psalm 30 this morning, hopefully as an encouragement that even the psalmist, the biblical writers, did not claim to have all the answers. And the Psalms are a wonderful resource for expressing to God how we're feeling when we don't have all the answers and when we don't know what to say to God. And so I invite you to consider, the Psalms as a resource, as a prayer book. And if you find yourself worrying today or getting in your head a lot today, and if you can't get outside, I invite you to focus your mind on someone else, focus your mind on creative ways or things you can do to help someone else, and find ways to get outside of yourself. And know, no matter what, that God is always available to you. God is always waiting to receive your worries and your anxieties. And if you don't know what to pray, consider praying the Psalms. But whatever you pray, know that God is always there for you, and He is waiting for you to cast your anxieties and your worries upon Him. Blessings on your day.